The departure from Egypt. The disasters that had followed one by one had left no strength in the Pharaoh to carry on his cruelty. So he let the Israelites go free to leave the city. Their slavery and suffering was now over. They thanked Allah, feeling very joyful. The prophet Moses was worried that the Pharaoh might change his mind again. He saw it fit to leave Egypt before he changed his decision. He ordered the people to make preparations immediately and told them that they were going to the Holy Land. One night, the migration started under the moonlight. The prophet Moses took the Israelites and left Egypt. They were about 600,000 people. They had taken as many things as they could carry during the journey, such as gold and decorative items. They were heading for the east towards the Red Sea. In the morning, when the Egyptians realized that the Israelites were gone, they informed the Pharaoh right away. The Pharaoh regretted letting them go. He had to catch them and bring them back. The kingdom's future depended on it. He ordered his army to follow them right away, with the Pharaoh as their leader. When the Israelites came to the Red Sea, the Pharaoh had caught up with them. When they realized that the Pharaoh had followed them, they started panicking and ran up to the prophet Moses. "We have been caught. The Pharaoh will kill us all. Why did we leave Egypt anyway? We were just carrying on as usual. You have ruined us." The prophet Moses was surprised to see that his own tribe was so ungrateful towards him. It was as if the people whom he saved weren't the ones who begged him for help. Their fear of death was even making them say that they were happy in Egypt. The prophet Moses made his speech to them to stop them feeling hopeless. "Do not be afraid. Allah will save you from the Pharaoh and death, just as he saved you from the sufferings and torments you faced in Egypt." However, they were still complaining. "Oh Moses, are you joking with us? Where will we go? How will we save ourselves? The sea is in front of us and our attackers are behind us." The prophet Moses took refuge in Allah because of his people's endless complaints. "Dear Allah, all thanks and gratefulness is to you only. I ask you to help us against every type of enemy and all kinds of difficulties. Power and strength only belongs to you." The sea torn in two. The Pharaoh and his army had got very close to the Israelites. Allah then sent a revelation to the prophet Moses. "Moses, hit the sea with your staff." The prophet Moses obeyed the order and hit the sea with his staff. All of a sudden, the sea was divided into two. A dry path opened through the middle of the sea. The prophet Moses and the Israelites started following the path. Some of the Israelites had gotten to the opposite shore, and some of them were still walking. The Pharaoh and his soldiers had arrived at the shore. The scene they could see had shocked and terrified them. They hesitated for a little while about going along the path. But when the Pharaoh led his horse towards the path, the soldiers followed them. When all the Israelites had reached the opposite shore, the Pharaoh and his soldiers were on the path in the Red Sea. Right at that moment, the Holy Order came to the believers' rescue, and the two sides of the water came together again. The Pharaoh and his soldiers suddenly found themselves in the middle of the rough Red Sea. The great army was destroyed. The Pharaoh was struggling to survive and was about to drown. Then all of a sudden, the curtain in his heart opened and he could begin to see his end. He said, "Now I believe in Moses. There is no God other than Allah. I surrender myself to him." However, Allah didn't accept the evil Pharaoh's repentance close to his death and called to him through the angel Gabriel. "Have you only come to your senses now? You have spent your whole life with cruelty and torture. There is no use for you in believing now. However, as a reward for your belief that hasn't been accepted, we will save your body from being lost and rotten." The moment of death is the time when all the curtains lift up, breathing stops, and when the truth comes out. But it is also when the test ends. The Pharaoh's belief was not accepted by Allah because he was too late. However, the importance of faith is great. It is holy. Allah had informed the Pharaoh that his body wouldn't be lost in order to show the greatness of faith, and also in order to show the people a lesson. The miracle of 3,000 years. The body of the Pharaoh that didn't rot. There is a special place in the British Museum in London where people visit with great astonishment. The mummies. The most surprising and interesting piece is the one that can be seen in a glass compartment which is bowing down. All the organs of the body are intact. In fact, you can even see the hair and the beard. The most surprising fact about the mummy, which has been proved to be 3,000 years old, is that it is mummified. Some of the internal organs have been taken out and some have been treated. The surprising thing is that no human has touched the body and no chemical treatments have been done to it. This body, which has survived around 3,000 years, most probably belongs to the Pharaoh who was following the Prophet Moses. The news which Allah had given to the Pharaoh turned out to be true. The place where the body was found is enough to prove that fact. It was found along the shores of the Red Sea by a British research team who then took it back to their country. The Quran told us 14 centuries before, in the 92nd verse of the Surah Jonah, that Allah called out to the Pharaoh that drowned in the sea, "We will give salvation to your body today." Zamakhshari said in the comment on the Quran he made in the year 1144 that, "We will throw your body somewhere along the sea. We will protect it and keep it intact and naked in order to show it as a sign of a lesson of misfortune." Zamakhshari's comment turned out to be true after 8 centuries. The Pharaoh's body was found just as it was described. The preservation of the body for 3,000 years was not a hard task for Allah, but we should take a lesson from this and bow down before Allah, for He is great.